and people are more interested in buying the story, I feel like, than the product. Because you could get cheap organic milk from these big companies, or you pay a little bit more to know how the farmers are being treated, how the animals are being treated. So I think that that's kind of the direction we're headed. It is how can you authentically represent your client's story in a way that the consumer connects to it more so than saving a couple dollars.
Tired of your agency running you instead of the other way around? What if you could boost your profits while keeping your team front and center and rediscover the drive that got you started in the first place? Agency Builders is where agency leaders come together to scale up without burning out. Whether you want more freedom, higher profits, a clear sense of purpose, this community offers the peers, events, and support that you need. Agency life is tough, but it's easier when you're not doing it alone. Check out agencybuilders.com to join the community and explore upcoming events, including the 4th annual Agency Builders Retreat in St. Augustine, Florida, March 2025. Visit agencybuilders.com to learn more and join today.
Everyone, welcome back to another episode of Agency Insiders. It's been an incredible journey as we have seen so many different types of agency owners, people that are getting started, people that have been doing it for a long time, and others that have faced some incredible challenges along the way that maybe even convinced them to potentially stop. But through all these different stories and through all these different incredible ventures, we've seen one thing in common. Agency owners, when they're together, they're always stronger. And that's the whole purpose behind this podcast, is we're bringing on different agency owners and hearing their stories and see what makes them excellent in their field. In this ever-growing digital landscape, it's getting harder and harder, we all know this, to do business. But there's those few that are standing out among the rest. And so today, I'm so happy to have we just met each other, but hey, I already feel like we're going to be friends. Maybe we'll see how this podcast goes. But we have John Choate on the call today from Storyline Media. John, nice to meet you first of all, and thank you so much for giving your time and talking with us today.
Yeah, likewise. I'm excited to have a conversation with you.
Yes. Well, John, we're going to be getting into just some questions that I have that, for me as an agency owner as well, I have faced so many, ups and downs in business, and through that, it really has just given me a different perspective how to do business and how not to do business. And today, my objective, my goal, what I really want to kind of pull out of you wisdom of what it takes to do business in today's generation, in today's ever-growing landscape, specifically in the area of technology as things are growing. And so I really want to just pull on you. I know you guys started in 2018. Is that correct? That's when Storyline Media was birthed?
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And that was I kind of built up some clientele. I was doing the 9-to-5 corporate job, and my wife and I, we had this sort of kind of an event in our life where we decided, if we're ever going to try this business thing, we should try it now.
Yeah, come on.
And I'm so glad we did. I'm so glad the doors opened, because honestly, I'm not going to say there's not struggles, but I really do feel like we're kind of living the dream in a sense of just, the people we get to meet, the connections we're making. We're just, I would say we're just so grateful, and we have a position of gratitude towards this whole thing.
That's awesome. So since we kind of already kind of navigating towards that direction, I want to know the genesis of Storyline. First, how did the name come? I was looking at you guys' bio about you page, and it was a really beautiful story between you and Emily, kind of how it all started. But for those that aren't familiar with Storyline, kind of tell us, how did Storyline start? Started in 2018, but how was it conceived? Where did the name come from, and what was those beginning days? Kind of bring us into that.
Yeah. So, I could go as long or as short as you want, but I'll try to keep it moderate. We'll just say that. But basically, what happened was, I at 25, I was going to school for graphic design. That's why earlier when you were like, "Yeah, I'm a graphic designer," I'm like, "Dude,
Come
let's
on,
go."
man. We got something in common.
Let's go. And so it kind of, I grew up in a construction household. I was doing construction while doing sort of gen eds at a community college. 25, I got hurt. So I was out for a month, and a buddy of mine called me and he was like, "Hey, there's this really cool graphic design program. You want to go check it out?" So sort of, and I was out of work for a month because I was hurt. And there was just this moment where I thought to myself, my mom was an artist. My dad was an artist. I remember as a kid seeing their artwork, and life just happened. There's no judgment. I get it. And I love to draw. I love to be creative. And I thought, if I keep going this route,
Come on.
am I going to let this ability or talent go?
Come on.
And so started going to school for graphic design. And then, pretty soon I started to realize, like, this was like right at the beginning of like stock photography really becoming mainstream.
Yeah, come on, I remember
And
that.
so we're doing all these graphic design projects, and I'm like, we're all using the same images, like, like, just because the resources were so limited. And so that's when I picked up a camera, and I was like, if I'm going to do a website or a brochure or whatever, I want the content to be original. I don't want it to be something that they see on iStock. So
That's so good.
So started picking up a camera, got a job doing web development at University of Iowa. Pretty soon I became like a video production assistant there, and then eventually took over that role. And in the meantime, I start dating my now wife, and I was doing family photos on the side because I had all this camera gear now, right?
Yeah.
And so at the time, I was calling myself Mr. Choate Photography. So I don't know
Come on,
where
Mr.
that came
Choate,
from.
I'll take the photo.
Yeah, well, I think part of it was a lot of my friends called me Mr. Choate because so many people in our friend circle were named John, and it was getting frustrating. Like,
Everyone turned around when they said John.
right? Yeah. So Mr. Choate, and so I was doing that, and then a buddy of mine was like, "Dude, I got this great corporate gig, but I don't know that I can pitch Mr. Choate Photography." And I had already been starting to think about it because at the time I was reading like a lot, because we don't do weddings anymore, but at the time I was doing weddings. And I remember there being this huge, I don't know if you want to call it debate, but maybe online discussion of photographers starting a business that's named after themselves, and then hiring employees, and the employees showing up and being like, "Where's Mr. Choate?"
I hired Mr. Choate. Where's he at?
Yeah. Where's this guy at? Sipping lattes somewhere. So it was kind of this discussion of like, okay, we really should look at changing our name to something a little bit more generic. And so it was a discussion with my wife, and I go, you know what? At the end of the day, you take away all my camera stuff,
Come on,
I
man.
still want to know your story.
I love that.
Because that's what I do at parties, get-togethers, wherever I'm at. I'm so interested in people's journeys. I believe that everybody has a life lesson that I could learn from.
That's good.
And having a camera is just kind of a perk at that point, or an excuse to have those conversations or interactions.
That's so good. And I think when you start from that angle of storytelling and story marketing, or however you want to word it, I believe you can get the true essence of the person's vision, the person's story, the person, their identity, of why they started doing business in the first place. And I think that is lacking in a lot in the media today. I think everything is so fabricated. I think we kind of we kind of lost the essence of that And so I love what you said. It's just like, if all that was taken away, if there was no camera, if there was no lights, no audio, like I would still be interested in your story. And I think a lot of companies today, they don't maybe even know what their story is. They know what they're selling.
Yeah.
They know the product,
Yeah.
but like the essence behind it. So that's cool how you guys really, that's really one of your values. It's one of your, while you're doing business. Mm-hmm. That's incredible.
Yeah. Well, and I really have to give my wife a lot of credit because
Come on, man.
when we were dating, I couldn't, and I was kind of keeping the photography finances separate from personal finances, but it was kind of mixed. I was terrible at finances. My wife is an MBA CPA, so
man.
she is wired.
Oh, yeah.
Every cent's accounted for. And so I remember there was a discussion with her where I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And I'm going to say this now, and it's going to sound stupid because I know better now. But at the time, I couldn't figure out why I was charging $350 for a photo session and then going out and buying an $800 lens and losing money.
Just didn't make sense.
And obviously, like, people that are listening are like, yeah, duh. But, I was just so excited about growing that craft and investing in gear. And obviously, like, I wish I could go back and do some of that differently. But, we're here, we're where we're at, and I'm thankful for the experience. And hopefully we can help other creatives, because that's one thing that I will say is, as a creative person, the number side, I'm getting better, but unless you have somebody that really shines in that area, I don't know that businesses are reaching their full potential.
That's so good. And I love that you kind of went there, because I myself, I really feel like when business, because I'm the same way, like I'm a right brain thinker. The way that I create, the way that I do things is not so analytical, right? I've gotten better and with more executive type of leadership and structure and stuff like this and planning. But one thing that I really found as a success, and so for any agency owners that are watching this, you just heard John, he just hit the nail on the head of like identifying his strengths, identifying what he was good at, and then finding that second person. In this case, he's a blessed man that his wife is able to help him with this. Is she brought in, I love what you said, like bringing those two different types of muscle groups in there. They're both very important. One brings in the business, the other one keeps the business from tanking and sinking. And so having those infrastructures super important. And so for myself, when I brought in a COO, when I brought someone that was very operational, very analytical, it was just such an eye-opener for me. And I read this book. I don't know if you ever heard this book or this. It's a company. It's the EOS system. Are you familiar with that, John? Have you?
No.
EOS? No. I really recommend it. So it's EOS. Okay. Like, I'm not trying to do a shout out for them at all, but it's something that we adopted for our own company. And there's a book called Traction. And man, we just ate that book. And so I brought in someone that was called like a COO, and they're basically an integrator, someone who takes the vision, they take the essence of like what we're doing, and they make it operational. So there's operational manager, whatever. And from that, I really saw some momentum. And so anybody that's listening, you gotta get someone in there that is not maybe a right brain thinker. If you got two right brain thinkers at the helm of the boat, probably gonna hit an iceberg eventually.
Yeah, my best financial advice I could give anybody is to marry a CPA.
There you go. So when you're looking for a wife or looking for a husband, just go straight to the CPA. You'll be good to go. No worries. Your business will fly.
Profit
for sure. You won't be buying $800 lenses every week. You'll know when to buy them. All jokes aside, so let's get down into this. So you have been doing business for a few years now. So kind of bring us in. What are some things, apart from the financials, what are some things that you have learned throughout these years that you would say this is what allowed us to grow? So for me, I said, hey, I found an integrator. I found an operations person. You married one, so you were just like, that was like legacy right there. But right from what you've been doing and up till now, what are some things, I know it's a loaded question, right? But like,
Yeah.
maybe let's just choose one or two that you've learned that you could say, hey, don't make the same mistake I made, or hey, I learned this, and so this is the secret sauce. If you're willing to give us some secret sauce.
Yeah. So I would say all of our success. So correct me if I'm wrong. You're based in Chicago. Is that correct?
I'm actually based in Finland. I'm on the other side of the world.
Oh, okay.
You were kind of close.
Crazy.
That's why I look so dark in here.
Not close at all. Yeah.
I'm where the penguins are. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, we're gonna have to pull on that thread later. So I guess. So I live in Iowa, which is in the middle of the U.S.
Yeah.
And so basically, I would say our state is different than anywhere else in the U.S. in terms of we're kind of in a bigger city, but we also have like the small town vibe. And so growing up here, everybody knows everybody.
Okay.
And so when we started the business, my posture was I'm going to overserve people. And what I mean by that is, yeah, we'll put together a contract, but at the end of the day, I want to over deliver because I never want to be, I don't know the correct way to word this, but I don't want to be the bad part of an experience for someone.
Come on, man.
If that makes sense, because
I hear you.
the word will get out.
It will.
And so just this posture of serving, if we go and do a corporate event, for example, and we're all set up and maybe the event planner, they're struggling or something like that. Hey, can we help unfold chairs? Do you need help?
Come on, man.
Doing this, not just doing the minimum requirement.
Yeah, come on.
And I think, to your point, and I think you were kind of touching on this earlier of like, just the age we're in and all this stuff. I firmly believe that customer service is the new currency.
Come on, bro. That's great.
And,
I'm gonna write that one down, man. That's it.
because here's the situation is, this big AI push that came out. When was that? Like a year ago, maybe?
Yeah, about a year and a half ago.
It became publicly available. We had just hired our second employee, and his main job, he was right out of college. His main job was to make Instagram reels out of long form content that we were making for our clients on YouTube. And this whole thing with, I don't know if you're familiar with Opus Pro. You just plug in a YouTube video and it'll pull clips. Really helpful for podcasts. And so we had this moment of like, we are freaking out of, are we going to get replaced by AI? Which we started having really deep internal conversations.
That's so good, man.
What are we doing that AI can never replace?
It's good, man.
So they can't replace, it won't be able to replace customer interaction, and it won't be able to replace shooting on location and guiding people through what to say. It can give us prompts. So I'm not, and we're utilizing AI.
Yeah.
So I'm not knocking it in that sense, but we just started focusing on, okay, if we're B plus shooters, how do we get to an A plus?
That's good, man.
And still then utilize AI to kind of fast track some of these other deliverables, if you will.
That's so good. That's so good. And I think that human touch, and it was interesting that you just said that, because we had the same, I've been having the same conversations with our remote workers. So in our case, we prepare remote workers for the marketplace. So we prepare them for, people all over the world, different companies. And I remember that day when I was just thinking about it, meditating on it over and over and over again, that there's so many creatives out there. They're almost like, it's like this ominous, like AI is this ominous thing. It's like it's going to suck everyone's job out. It is taking a lot of jobs, replacing it, but with majority of these people, they have to understand that these tools are to hyperdrive their work. But there's something, like you said, I love what you said. There's something that's never going to replace that. It's that human touch. It's the experience that the customer gets when they it's like that wow effect that they get when a creative or whoever may be goes the extra mile in a way that is personal, in a way that matters. I love what you said here. It says, here at Storyline, we believe your story matters and it's worth telling. Like, their story matters, the client matters, and that's something that will never be replaced.
Yeah.
And that human
100%.
connection. I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's kind of, the AI stuff, though, I mean, it has ultimately made us better too, know? And so I'm not completely knocking the AI stuff, but, as content creators, sometimes it's hard to write a title and a description, and how do you get the best keywords, for SEO, and, it's not spitting out stuff that's perfect, but instead of coming up with things from scratch, now we're able to go in and tweak to the client's voice. But it's just more efficient and ultimately, a better product.
I love that. And while we're on the kind of the personal touch and how people, you had mentioned that prior. One thing I saw, I always go to people's websites. I'm like a huge website person. I think it's like the graphic designer in me, so I'm like always checking out people's websites. My wife sometimes goes crazy because she's like, Ryan, because I'm always like updating the website. She's like, stop updating the website, like just give it a rest. I'm like, no, like I gotta change it. And then I see someone else's website. I'm like, oh, not that I take people's ideas, but I'm like, I get inspired. I was like, oh man, I should be a little bit more personal. And she goes, so anyways, I was checking out your website and I really liked what you said, like at the beginning. It says like the process, like your storytelling process about being personal, sharing a cup of coffee with clients. Like my question to you is, why do you think this personal touch is so important? Like why do you think that customers are just after the product, like the end result? Or do you think that they are also concerned about the beginning, middle, end? And I kind of already know your answer, but there are people that are so heavily on the end product that they completely forget everything else in between. So why is this important to you? Because it's clear that you really care about this. It's all over your website that you care about this personal touch. But why?
No, that's a great question. And I'll use a specific type of client to kind of illustrate my point.
Yeah, perfect.
So we are living in an age where what you present on social media, your website, it's going to be exaggerated, or at least people are getting to the point where they kind of question, is this the real deal? And so that's why I feel like the long form content, such as a podcast or, that's going to only gain more traction because people are looking for, okay, you got past all the flashy talking points. Who's the real Ryan?
That's really good.
And
that's really good.
And so I'll just use a client as an example. So we are, we were currently doing some work for a local dairy farm.
Okay.
So they outsource all of their milk from Amish farms. I don't know. Are you familiar with the Amish?
Yeah.
Okay.
They making some good food, man. They got some good pie. They know what's up.
Potatoes, dude. Mashed potatoes for sure. So, just working with their marketing team, they have.
That's so cool.
They're in a unique space where there are large organic dairy farm companies that are saying that they're farming one way, and then these videos will come out, go viral of, this was probably the most extreme example, but there was a video of a farmer punching a cow in the face.
Wow.
And it went nuts, and and so people want to know where their milk came from. Wow. They want to know where their products came from. They want to know that,
that's so, man.
And people are more interested in buying the story, I feel like, than the product. Because you could get cheap organic milk from these big companies, or you pay a little bit more to know how the farmers are being treated, how the animals are being treated. So I think that that's kind of the direction we're headed. Is how can you authentically represent your client's story in a way that the consumer connects to it more so than saving a couple dollars.
That's really cool, man. That's really cool. So I'm about to ask you a question, and
Yeah.
I'll see if you have the liberty to share this. Okay, so now let's go into like a route of like more higher level business, like business development here. So your guys are growing. Okay, so you guys are very strong on storytelling. So I would assume you are not the only person that does this. Maybe you were at the beginning, maybe you still are. How do you find people? Because I know a lot of agency owners probably think it's like, how do you, John, find the right people, let's say creative directors, or people that can actually carry the same essence that you carry? Like, how do you find those people? And then what do you do to like crystallize or train or lead them so that they can extract this type of story, same thing that you just said, the type of storytelling for other customers? Like, how do you even start doing that?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing that you can do when you're hiring somebody is, and this is one of the most valuable lessons that I learned when I was working at my corporate job. So we were going to hire some students to come in and do video. And so I reached out to, a creative director that was way above me, like in the main office. And I said, hey, what's your advice? Because I'm looking to hire some students. And they said, hire the ones that are punctual, that show up on time, that are personable. You can teach all the technical stuff, but you can't teach somebody how to show up on time.
That's good, man.
And so I think, when we're interacting with people, to be honest with you, there's not a ton of people doing this particular thing in our area. So we're in Iowa City. We're 2 hours south of Des Moines. And Des Moines, I would say, is definitely more businesses like ours. So we're just kind of a small crew here. But my wife just put in her notice at her corporate job.
Come on, man.
And she's going to join our team.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Starting in January.
That's awesome.
And because of how her mind works, she's going to help us figure out system and processes of, hiring new people. Because honestly, I don't think that I've done the best job in teaching people the way I could. I just assume that people know what I know. And I'm not going to say, I'm not trying to trash anybody, but I think maybe the answer to your question is we're still trying to figure out how that is, because I'm still going to a lot of them. Still the face of it. I think part of me is afraid of branching out too big. But also we're putting the pieces in place so that we can.
Yeah, but even at that, John, I think it's wise what you're doing, because sometimes people, and we even faced this, I think it was like a year and a half ago, where it's like we started really growing, and then you kind of get this mindset of like, okay, we really need to prepare. Like, it's good to prepare for the future, right? It's good to like build processes and systems, but like you kind of overextend beyond like where you're at currently, in the sense of like even the mindset that you can kind of run too fast, and then then you kind of outpace yourself. And I say that to say, like, I say all that is because even though you guys have been doing business for a few years now, and you're still really the heart behind what the essence of like extracting the stories, creating story, like building the story for these customers. But in the same sense, I think it is a perfect, like you're in the perfect season, because especially when Emily comes in and begins to build those process systems, it's a healthy transition. And I think any agency out there, is don't grow too fast in the mind. Like before you get there. And I had to have a conversation with one of our team. I was like, look, we're not there. I mean, yes, it's great to plan, but we're not there yet. So like, let's enjoy the ride here. So that way we don't muddy our relationships and like the quality of our work and the quality of what we're doing. Because I would imagine you, as someone that is so focused on like the fact that stories matter, you need to make sure that the story is crafted properly and with excellence, you know, until that time comes where you're able to multiply yourself in the right way. So I mean, I applaud you for even, you know, being like, it's vulnerable to even say, it's like, hey, I can get better in this area. We all can. But at the same time, knowing that, hey, as we get to this new season, now my wife Emily is going to step into this role where we can really build these systems and processes to multiply myself. So I think that's a good move. Definitely a big move.
Yeah, we're excited.
That's
And
awesome.
you know, the work we're doing is constantly evolving. You know, when we started 5 years ago, you know, we're doing a lot of small local business promos. Now we're doing I would say probably the most impactful project that we're working with is we're working with a nonprofit where we go and interview patients that are in the late stages of having cancer.
Oh man.
And putting these mini hour-long documentaries together to leave for the families.
Oh man.
And
wow.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's you know, we were kind of talking just a little bit about it before we started recording, and honestly, it grounds us. You know,
so good, man.
I mean, it's, you know, before we started this collaboration, it was interesting because, you know, we were freaking out about, oh man, we got this 30-second short, and, you know, is it good? And like, you know, obviously we care about every project we touch,
right?
But it was like, dude, this is a 30-second commercial that's, you know, or whatever. Meanwhile, we have this thing that this family is going to have forever,
dude. That's
you know, and so it's kind of the other thing I would say that has done is it's really helped me let go of likes, comments, social media following, because for this particular project, it really matters to 20 people, you know, 20 to 30 people, or however big that family is. And so it's the work is only getting more and more meaningful.
That's incredible. And I think that like you said, it's like more evergreen in the sense of like, that's going to last. That's what's going to be, you know, they're going to see, it's going to leave with them potentially for the rest of their lives, the rest, you know, of like, until you know, that moment where it's the most like critical moment maybe in their lives, their family's life. Like that's what's going to last. Like that's what's going to be there. So I think that's a good perspective. And as you said, it grounds you, and it grounds your company, and it grounds the people within your company. And I think it's so essential for people that are watching this, that you have at least one or two of those types of projects. Maybe it's not going to be the most profitable. Maybe it will be profitable. But nonetheless, find something that's going to ground you. Find something that you can circle around and say, like, yeah, this is why I wake up. This is why I do business, right? This is why I do storytelling. This is why I do graphic designing or video editing. I think that's beautiful. So tell me, before we're coming up to the end of our conversation here, what's the future for Storyline? What you guys, what's your focus on for the new year? 2025 is almost here, so kind of talk to us, founder, talk to us, CEO, let's get some vision cast in here. So tell us what's up.
Yeah. Well, so I have to say, so our business radically changed at the end of 2023, and I was traveling. I was shooting an event down in Texas. And there was another videographer at this event. Really great guy. Michael was his name. He was 10 years older than me. And we just collaborated so well. There was no ego. We just, figured out what each person was going to cover, and I feel like ultimately created a better product.
That's cool.
I didn't know there was going to be another shooter there, but it was a great connection. End up taking going to the airport at the same time, and we just hung out at this bar.
That's so cool.
And I asked him, I told him what I was struggling with, and I'm like, I'm struggling. I feel like we're always buried. I feel like invoices are just out of control. What would your advice be? And he goes, are you doing a retainer? And I'm like, no. And he goes, well, are you doing content for people on a regular basis? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, then why wouldn't you just set up a retainer, eliminate. So what we did was we started doing video retainers. It radically changed our business.
Oh, come on.
And
that's awesome.
We just started getting better because we were going deeper with our clients. And, before I was chasing people because I knew if I didn't get a project, I wasn't going to get paid.
Yeah.
Sure, man. And now the retainer model, it holds those people accountable.
That's so good.
So now they have to schedule time. They want to schedule time, but it's built into their calendar now. And
That's
so they know if they don't use it, they're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
So it's made us better. It's made our clients better. So the reason I bring that up going into the future is I think we've spread ourselves a little thin in terms of the workload. And so what I'm really looking for is how do we go deeper with fewer?
That's so good, man.
And really studying the trends, studying what we're really good at. A couple years ago, we completely stopped offering weddings. And so just I guess keep pulling on that thread of, how do we offer the best experience that we possibly can for the ones that want to continue this journey with us.
That's so good. That's so good that you're identifying that. And I believe, for anyone that's watching, and I think this, and you can agree with me, John, on this, is like, I believe you can agree with me on this, is like, don't be afraid to step into new waters. Like, if you're seeing something that is working in a sense of like you've developed relationships with these customers, like don't be afraid to pitch something new for these customers. Don't be afraid to develop, innovate. I'm not saying you have to go pivot and change absolutely everything in your company, but see what the need is for yourself and what the need is for your customers. So if you're serving a customer and you're seeing something that could be potentially beneficial for them, like speak up, like step out, do something new, and don't be afraid of that. Because I think, John, you probably agree with it. I think a lot of people are kind of frozen sometimes of like change, that they end up dying anyways, or like, fading out anyways because they can't pay the bills or they're not innovating or someone else comes that does it a little bit cheaper. So, don't be afraid to innovate. Maybe 2025 for all those that are watching, like this is the year of innovation, right? Let's go for that.
100%.
That's awesome.
Yeah. If I could just piggyback off that for just 1 second, just one more thought on that is one of the things that because when we were in that moment where we were scared of like, oh, AI, what are we going to do? I had a buddy of mine say, if you don't start implementing that into your process, somebody else is going to do it and they're going to cut you in half. And so I thought to myself, okay, so now I'm in this position where if I don't innovate, we are maybe not right away, but 5 years down the line, what does that look like?
Come on, man.
And so, and the thing is we are constantly, we're in an industry that's constantly changing. There's constantly new gear, if you hit a point where you're like, I'm just not going to go there. I don't know how long that's going to last because the technology is evolving so fast, we have this little camera gimbal that's like this big, and it replaced.
You remember the big old rigs?
Something.
The big old massive rigs.
So, and I'm not, and I'm big productions, things like that. I'm not knocking the big rigs, but I'm just saying, I I've had a drone for the last like 6 years. You know, obviously they're the newer model every year. But what I will say is every time I fire that thing up, I'm like, what an amazing time to be a content creator.
Seriously. No better
I
time.
mean, I'm sure I would have figured it out in the 80s if I was born, you know, if I had a business. Yeah, exactly. But I just think like embrace the innovation, embrace the technology. It's only going to make you more creative.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I love what you said. Don't get cut in half. Don't get taken out from the knees. Like just learn and be, you know, if you can't spend all the time learning, then find people in your team that can do some R&D. They could just be able to find out some new technologies, new ways of doing things is so important. And in the long run, anyone that's watching this, it's going to be beneficial for you and for the people that you work with as well, and people that work with you. So, John, we're finished up here. I really want to just again say thank you so much for giving your time. I have one more question before we go, and this is I always ask this question because I think it's important because we don't know exactly. We know that agency owners are watching this, but we don't know all of the level of where these people are at. Maybe they're just getting started. Maybe they've been doing this for a while. Or maybe they're like on the ledge, about to like, you know, just completely let go and just say, I quit, I'm done, I'm stopping. What advice would you offer these people? Let's just say, hey, 2025, these are the wise words from John himself, from Storyline. Like, what would you say to these people for 2025?
There's great power in learning how to say no.
Oh, that's good, man.
That's what I'm.
It's so good.
And I would say that there's great power in learning your own personality. So I'll give you an example. I will say yes to everything because I love people. That's just my general posture. So with my wife, she's the type of personality where you have to earn her trust.
Come on. Sounds like my wife.
My posture is you automatically have it and you got to lose it.
Wow.
So it's a little different, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm always like, yeah, I'm all in. Yes. But ultimately that's going to spread you too thin.
Come on, man.
And so I think just getting to know yourself, identifying your goals for the year. You know, I think especially when you start your own business, you start your own agency, you're kind of afraid of making it. So you say yes to everything. And that's good. That's really great in the beginning.
Yeah.
But it gets to a point where, you know, saying yes to a small mom pa shop, not dissing that work, but if you say yes to that, that might take you away from the thing that you really, really, really want to do.
That's so good, man.
And so I think it's just kind of a healthy balance of figuring out what you're going to say yes to and what you're going to say no to. And it is okay to say no. I think the season that I'm in is I always think that people are going to like hate me if I say no, or if they're, you know, like I just go to like the worst possible scenario. But I promise you, nobody has ever done that. If somebody tells me no, I go, I respect that you are honest and upfront. Because I've had, I mean, even just like on a small practical thing, I've had construction people say yes to a project where I kind of had a feeling in the beginning that they weren't that interested because it was small potatoes. And then halfway through the project, you couldn't get them here. They weren't meeting the, and it's like, just tell me no in the beginning. And
save me the headache in the future.
So as a business owner, just learning how to say no.
So good.
But you know, keeping a posture of being humble too.
I love that. Learning to say no so that there is space enough for the right yeses. And I think when you come to that, it helps you be more, it makes you healthier with your family, with your spouse or your husband, whatever it may be, or if you're married or not married. Let's just say family in general. For us, it's our wives and our children. for our employees, etc. And we need healthy entrepreneurs. We need healthy businessmen and businesswomen. And with that, we can do it together. And there's enough business. Here's the thing. There's enough business out there in the world. We need everyone healthy. We need guys like you, guys like me, women out there as well that are healthy. And so developing that discipline of saying no to the right things and just trusting that you're not going to go under, that there'll be room enough for the yeses and those right ones will come in. It's going to be perfect. Well, thank you so much, John. I really just appreciate, again, so much for having this conversation with you. How can people connect with you? I don't know if you're on LinkedIn, if people can reach out to you personally, and then how can people reach out to your company? If you just share your handle for us.
Yeah, Storyline Multimedia, all one word, on Instagram and on LinkedIn, and then storylinemultimedia.com. And from there you can DM us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. It's funny that you brought up the website, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to update.
Oh, for all the agency owners out there that dabble in the web design, just. Oh, well, John, again, man, thank you so much for your time. And we'll be launching this episode here soon. And so, guys, if you are looking for an agency, maybe you're not an agency owner just coming across this, but you're looking for someone that actually cares about your story, someone that can get your story out there on the digital landscape in the eyes of the right people, check out Storyline Media. And you heard it from the head here. You heard it from the CEO. You heard it from the founder. John and Emily, they are running this company, so you could trust it. Check out the different work that they have, and get in contact with them, all right? Thank you so much, John. All right, everyone, have an incredible week, and keep moving. Don't stop.